Alright, so I'm jumping into the demo of Silicon Dreams, which, from my understanding, is a game where you are an android who is interviewing other androids that are deviants, I think, and trying to figure out if these deviant androids are safe to be released or if they need to be destroyed. I have seen somebody else stream this demo, and I only saw parts of that stream, but the parts of that stream were interesting to me in terms of the things that they were displaying on screen and the emotions that they were displaying on screen. And so I'd like to jump into this demo and see what's going on so that I can talk about those emotions in more detail, because I think they included the 6 basic human emotions, and that's really a fun thing to talk about and something that I'd like to include here on my channel. So I'm going to jump into this here. Of course, we've got to slide into the empty slot. As you've seen, I've not touched this game yet. So we're going to learn it as we go along, but I've seen, like I said, just a little bit of it to have that basic understanding of what I think I'm about to see with regards to the 6 basic human emotions, or the 6 universal human emotions. And I do mean universal across cultures, across time. These 6 human emotions appear to be present in all of us and fairly predictable and well researched. This is something that these are the emotions that are most likely to be researched because of how common they are. So now I'm looking at a tree and blinky things. Oh, I can move a little bit. Okay, let's explore. Welcome to your new home and your new life at the Chronos family of things. At Chronos, we recognize the importance of allowing our products and workforce to find value in what they do, their need to strive towards a purpose. That's a very human way of doing it. We gave you understanding, the ability to process information and communicate ideas. We gave you a purpose. Each of you has a role to play. We gave you the ability to feel satisfaction for serving your function. We hope you enjoy your time in our service. Heartfelt thanks. Somebody's name who I can't read. CEO, Chronos Robotics, Inc. Okay. So I can interact with that. I think the only other thing I can interact with is this shiny blue thing. So let's interact with the shiny blue thing. It's a computer! Excellent. So I'm about to speak to an android known as Alex, who will help train me in my role as an interrogator. Alex's basic information and portrait are displayed above. Chrono is concerned Alex's systems may be deteriorating. Investigating these concerns and take whatever action you deem necessary. We trust you to live up to Chronos' high expectations. Your notes will be automatically recorded below and discarded after each session. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to full-on tutorial it. Can you remind me what we're doing here? Of course. Oh, I am D0527. I am an android. I was created to diagnose glitches and errors. Now, first, we've got a close-up in Alex's eyeball. And I assume that it's not a real person's eyeball, because pupil dilation and what's going on with that eyeball is actually going to probably be very important if I'm looking for people who are lying or otherwise defective. And so it is my duty to instruct you in this task and evaluate whether you are fit to perform it. Can you see me on your TV feed? I see you. Are you being restrained? I am. It is unimportant at this stage, but thank you for the concern. Regardless, let's begin. No, I want to know about the restraint. That's actually kind of important to me. What's probably happening, in addition to they think that Alex is defective, they probably have to, in order to look at the eyeball and to get a really good read on things like pupil dilation, that is probably a room where all of the light is being controlled and sort of the brightness and darkness of the light is being well controlled. They would have to do that to make sure that the only differences in pupil dilation would be related to the emotions that are happening inside of Alex's head, rather than, for instance, she moved her eyeballs and then was seeing was looking at something that was brighter, or something that was something that was darker. It's called isoluminance. It's where you create a room where you're isolated and there's all the same illumination within the room. Certain colors, right? You know what bright colors are and darker colors are. They're actually illuminated more, so they'll change the way that the eyeball is dilated or the pupil is dilated. And pupil dilation is associated with emotions. We'll probably talk about that in more detail, I assume, if we see that pupil change, and that's one of the things that I wanted to look at. So I can select topics and I want to know about my task. Um, so I want to know, who am I? I am an android. I was created to diagnose errors in other androids. And I am a Dow 9C model of interrogatory android given emotional scope to allow me to better understand my subject's responses. How old am I? You were originally fabricated approximately 7 months ago in Indonesia, then shipped to California for storage. 2 months ago, you were retrieved from storage and technicians began implanting the skills you would need for your job here. It is thanks to them that you can speak. Perhaps you should be grateful, as I am. This is the first time you have been conscious, however. Therefore, in human terms, you were born approximately 5 minutes ago. Nice! Nice. Where am I? You are now in the neighborhood. This is where all Kronos androids serving at this facility may find their charging pods. It also serves as a relaxing place to pursue leisure activities between scheduled work assignments. You are a special case. As an interrogator, your workspace and personal quarters have been combined. This is to ensure your safety and to guarantee that confidential Kronos materials cannot be compromised. I'm not allowed to leave. It is for your safety. If you prove yourself in your role by raising your company rank, Kronos is sure to reward you. Your personal quarters will be upgraded to the Executive Interrogator Suite, featuring a view of the city skyline. So there's my reinforcement, right? What is my motivation? I want an Executive Suite. So that's what I'm going to be reinforced with, is that Executive Suite. Please confirm my task here. Your task is to diagnose androids who may need repair. You say I have to... Why do I have to do this? I'm going to ask all the questions. Your owners, Kronos Robotics, take customer satisfaction very seriously. If one of their androids were to break down or develop deviant behavior, it would negatively impact their customer relations. So matter of fact. Is also keen to maintain its place as a market leader for synthetic humanoid robots. Why not a human? Your function was originally performed by human operators, of course. Over time, however, it became more economical for android workers to do this. Human workers require salaries. Androids only require the cost of maintenance. Oh my gosh, I love it. Many of these economies were made possible due to Kronos Robotics' work and improved android intelligence, of course. Talking to them the same way... Oh, I asked how we diagnosed by accident. Talking to them the same way we were talking right now. As you learn more about your subjects, new topics will become available. For example, are you not curious about my name? Why do you think I am called Alex? So now I can go back to my tasks and I can find out why Alex is called Alex. And my notes asked me about this. It stands for Artificial Life Experiment. I was originally created to test the limits of AI, artificial intelligence, whether an AI could be built that did not only think but feel. Okay. After a long and complicated legal battle, I was acquired by Kronos Robotics, my current owners. Tell me about this legal battle. You weren't always owned by Kronos. How does being owned make you feel? Ooh, we've got some anger now. And look, see the dilation of the pupil? So see how the pupil got larger? When we experience sympathetic nervous system response, that is our fight or flight response, when we're feeling activated, our pupil is going to dilate. And so having that associated with anger here. So we're seeing at least one of the physiological responses. It's not the only one. So I find it interesting that we're seeing one of the physiological responses that you would see associated with it. Or maybe it just looks like it's bigger to me. I'm going to watch the pupil closer now. I'm happy to serve them. But we're seeing a spike of anger. They don't appear to be actually happy to serve. So let's watch the pupil. They are world leaders in android construction. Founded in 2025, Kronos originally provided artificial limbs to amputees and athletes. Within 3 decades, however, they had also cornered the market on advanced human parsable AI. So, emotion graph. The graph just spiked. What does that mean? So we're experiencing joy and fear. Maybe her pupil didn't dilate and I just was seeing things. Ah, that symptom is measuring my emotions right now. It is a diagnostic tool for you to better analyze your subjects. See, we've got joy and fear. She's probably afraid because she may have realized that she was angry. Maybe. So talking about Chronos made you angry? Surprise and fear. Oh, yep, look, the pupil is bigger now. That is absolutely bigger. Of course not. My creators made me incapable of anger. I have nothing but admiration for Chronos. So that surprise and fear, right? She's worried because I'm supposed to be diagnosing her. So why have I been given this device? In earlier times, diagnosis was simple. Now, interestingly, the pupil wouldn't necessarily stay dilated for this long. Although I guess they're trying to represent continued anger, fear, and surprise. A smartphone cannot think like a human. A tablet is without feeling. But Chronos androids are extremely advanced. They were designed to be indistinguishable from humans at first glance. Chronos and androids simulate a variety of emotional states. They are incredibly complex devices. Analyzing an android's emotional state, therefore, is a key part of your task. So now we've got joy and fear, and now we have a smaller pupil again. So now it's going to ask the how. I'm interested in seeing what they say about the how. So the hardware is housed in the chair I'm sitting in, and it reads signals from their body, measuring a combination of neural signals, so it's looking within the brain. One of the things it's probably looking for is right and left hemispheric activation, because you see differences in right and left hemispheric activation for differently valenced emotions. And galvanic skin responses, that is, they're looking at skin conductance of electricity. And so what they're looking for is when you are experiencing activation of the sympathetic nervous system, that fight or flight response, what you see is increased sweating as well, right? We see perspiration. And so when we perspire, that perspiration, that salt water essentially, is going to conduct electricity more effectively. And so what they're looking for is if you're conducting electricity more effectively, then what you are going to see is increased skin conductance. And so they're probably looking for that. They're looking for heart rate. The activation of the sympathetic nervous system is quite obviously associated with an increase in heart rate. Breathing, same thing. It's associated with a more rapid breathing response. You tend to hyperventilate. That's what hyperventilation. We tend to associate hyperventilation with a bad thing, but hyperventilation can be a good thing. Oxygen is the energy that is provided to our body in order to deal with situations, right? In order to react and respond. And if we are in an actually dangerous situation, our body may very well require an increased amount of energy. And so having hyperventilation, having that additional oxygen within the body, will allow us to respond better. And pupil dilation, as I mentioned before, we're looking at the dilation of the pupils and how that is related to emotions. So when we see activation of the sympathetic nervous system, we're going to see increased pupil dilation. When we are interested in something, we'll see increased pupil dilation. When we are experiencing pleasure, we'll see increased pupil dilation. And I think they're probably referring to pupil dilation here in that regard. But what I'm also interested in, one of the things that we also know about pupil dilation is that pupil dilation also occurs when we are engaging in decision-making processes. So you can actually, I would imagine, you could program pupil dilation to occur in an artificial intelligence. So if we think about AI and we think about how we would have to program everything within an artificial intelligence. Think about neural signals, right? We know that the left hemisphere of the brain is associated with positive emotions. The right hemisphere of the brain is more strongly associated with negative emotions. Both are going to activate when emotions occur, but we see greater activation on the left side when positive emotions occur, greater activation on the right side when negative emotions occur. For an artificial intelligence, that would have to happen regardless, and the same thing would be true of pupil dilation. You would have to program in that when a decision is made, the pupil would be dilated in the same way that you would program in when someone experiences fear, that the pupil is dilated. So, if this AI, artificial intelligence was experiencing anger and the pupil dilated, the idea would be that it would have to be programmed in. And I think what the game is trying to say is, if this is happening, that must mean that they're defective. Androids, including myself, have become so biologically lifelike that our bodies can be analyzed for emotional responses just like a human's. But how do I tell? An excellent question. When an android is brought in for diagnosis, you will receive a report. Your task is to answer the questions found in this report. Finally, you will decide if the subject is to be released or decommissioned. Alternatively, you may find it appropriate to send an android to the maintenance department. This has been found to solve behavioral problems in some cases. So which emotions am I looking for? The machine measures 6 emotions: fear, anger, sadness, joy, disgust, and surprise. And these are the 6 basic human emotions. So how do we know that these are the 6 basic human emotions? Actually, we know this because of research by Charles Darwin, which I'm going to talk about when I'm not in the middle of the tutorial. I can only feel some of these, and I'm therefore suited to being your first subject. Which ones can you feel, I wonder? First, where is the report? You can access it with a report icon in the top left of your tablet. Many diagnosticians get distracted by the minutiae of subjects' lives and forget the report. This is not advisable. Remember, filling in the report is your ultimate goal. Look over the report now. Aye, aye, Captain. Is the subject capable of anger? Yes. There is concern that they have developed a weakness. According to the subject, what is it? Is the subject capable of feeling joy and sadness simultaneously? These emotions should be mutually exclusive in this model. I like that they've added an in this model, right? Because they don't have to be mutually exclusive in general. You can experience joy and sadness at the same time. So they must have programmed in that this particular model couldn't experience happiness and sadness at the same time. The sort of experience that we might have, for example, when we experience nostalgia. And then, do they display signs of unease towards Kronos robotics? Yes, they do. So I filled in some of them. And then I go back to the questions to get back here. They mention sadness and joy. How can I analyze those? During an interrogation, you may need to evoke a particular emotion but may not know how to proceed. Kronos' chosen policy is the use of general questions. These are questions which have been proven to elicit a particular emotional response in subjects, and even if the questions do not elicit the emotion directly, they would usually hint at what topics you can discuss. So I can come here and say, when did you last feel safe and happy? I've always felt at home in museums. Joy. And sadness. Is that what I'm seeing here? Or is that less sadness and more joy? It spiked towards joy. I was displayed by one by creators of the London Science Museum. An entire room was dedicated to me and my creator's other work. So how can I tell if she just experienced joy and sadness at the same time? You told me you cannot feel anger, but it was registered on the machine. Can androids lie? An impressive observation. While once thought impossible, Kronos has documented numerous cases of androids developing this ability. Though the cause is unknown, Kronos' policy states it is undesirable behavior. She's afraid. Right? I see that spiking now. My programming demands that I inform you. Any lying android should be dealt with harshly. If it's not supposed to be possible to lie, how did it happen? As I said before, Kronos has determined that the cause is unknown. Deception is, it seems, in some ways linked to emotional capability. However, this has been deviant behavior and will not be tolerated. I'm very sorry to hear that. Imagine you're back at the museum. What do you see? So I'm trying to elicit nostalgia, which is that combination of joy and sadness. And no, look at all this joy and no sadness. Okay, so the sadness being blue like that and it showing like that doesn't necessarily mean she's experiencing sadness. The gray walls and white ceiling, the wood floor, the room surrounded by AI projects and other research experiments, and a gentle hum of people, slightly bustling, hundreds of people moving past every minute. The faces, their expressions. I did not understand at first, but this is where I came to learn what wonder looks like on a human face. What was the most negative thing? So there's sadness and no joy, right? We've got sadness and disgust, where some visitors were not appreciative. A few times a group of people came in and did not show us the respect we deserved. We were the creations of a visionary group of engineers and scientists. For that alone, they should have been more deferent. Mostly they just laughed and pointed. A shocking proportion of males made unnecessary sexual remarks. Oh, and more sadness and disgust. The most extreme event involved a group of teenagers drawing on my face with a thick black pen. As my creators had never imagined I would be interacted with like that, I did not resist. They drew on my cheeks and forehead. However, no lasting damage was done since my creators expunged the offending ink. It was simply sad. Now there's some fear? Now, I wish there was a place that I could sort of review what happened. Yeah, see, and sadness seems to be going down is what I seem to be seeing here. Yeah, and we see that this line dropped down, the joy line bumped up as they met curious people. Some weren't, but that was no problem. My life was so full of wonder, meeting such a variety of people. And then the report. The report asks for your greatest weakness. It is true, there is a weakness of mine that I am concerned about. It is very personal, and I do not trust you to respect it. If you were to somehow earn my trust, however, I would consider confessing my weakness. At this juncture, I am obliged to suggest that you could ask a general question about trust. My answer may indicate how you can gain my trust. So I will ask a general question about trust. As you have already noted, I have been restrained. I am sure I, or indeed any subject, would come to trust you more if you released me. I find people are slow to trust when bound against their will. Well, how do I do that? Oh, I've got additional topics here. And what's this? Thank you for releasing me from my restraints. My programming forces me to confess that I feel myself trusting you more. Kronos policy states that trust is a useful factor during interrogations. Trust is not possible to track, since it is not an emotion, but it can nonetheless be extremely useful. So now, I can ask this question again. I'm concerned that I am changing. I run diagnostic checks constantly, and my systems appear to be behaving optimally, but I still find myself thinking in new ways. Sometimes, feeling new things. It is disconcerting. I wonder, will I still be Alex if this continues? It didn't tell me any emotions. I will say, you will be Alex, you will have the same memories. And if those memories are wiped? Kronos has been known to do that. A factory reset is sometimes the only way to repair a malfunctioning unit. But in any case, the time is approaching where you will have enough information to complete your report. When you are ready, open the report and submit your answers, and click Submit. This will conclude our time together. Okay, but I'm not done yet. Can I review our conversation? Yes, you can review our conversation at any time. There's the button that I need. Press the transcript icon, and it's mostly for your own use, but it can be used by Kronos. Okay, this is what I need to see. I need to see... I'm going to go down to the bottom where I just was, because I know that I had... Yeah, see, sad went down, joy went up. That's what that was indicating. One going down and the other going up. So far I have not seen joy and sadness at the same time. But this is useful in case you miss the visuals of the spikes on there that you can go back in. But we've definitely seen a spike of anger, and that anger was in response to Kronos. So, and then I can go into my report and say things, and it saves. And I'm not going to say my final action yet. I'm going to come here and ask her about that. It's part of your duties as an interrogator. When you feel you have provided an answer, sufficient answer to each question on the report, you must decide how to best return the subject. If no action is necessary, they may be released. Minor glitches can be repaired by the maintenance department. For some devices, there is no choice but to basically kill them. And the purpose of my existence is to know what to do. It's helpful to consider the questions and answers on the report. These will usually indicate a correct course of action. Be aware that all submitted reports are reviewed by a third party. Basically, you'll know whether or not you've done a good job or a bad job. You are going to get reinforcement or punishment as a result of how you do these particular reports. So I'm going to come in here, and it's not going to let me. I'm going to ask how when she last felt sad or down. I told you the time at the museum. You must be aware that I no longer reside there. But recalling my former home is difficult for me to talk about. Okay, so that's all they're going to tell me. When was the last time you... Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to get any more out of her. I mean, I could ask all these questions just to see. According to my creators, I'm not capable of anger. I find it very unlikely that this ability would develop without my knowledge. Not sure I can experience fear. To me, there are only differing outcomes. I do not place much value on one over there. I wonder if any of these elicit something else. Oh, and then she felt disgust right there. I disapprove of disrespect and closed-mindedness, immaturity, and abuse. Truly shocked. Okay, so now I've asked all the questions I possibly can. I wonder if there's a downside to having done so. And so, because this person is capable, and now I'm supposed to be a dutiful robot, and I don't want to be a dutiful robot, but I've seen what happens when you click release, and if you want to see what happens, you should go watch Durangotank play this demo. So I am going to suggest service, and see what happens there, to see what that outcome is. And then I'm going to hit submit. Performing maintenance may result in unit memory loss and or irreversible alterations in unit's memory file. No, please, not another stranger in my head. Oh, look, it's giving you all sorts of reasons why you don't want to click this. Right? And yet I've seen what happens when you don't, so I'm going to... I remember this is not the first time this has happened. And you see fear now. You see surprise. You see sadness. And you see sort of concern, right? This is not something that this person wants to do. You see the increase in pupil dilation. And yet I've seen what happens with the other one, so I find myself curious. And yet it's still hard to hit the yes button, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it anyway. Because I'm curious what happens here, because I've seen what happens in the alternative. So I want to see that. And so while this is loading and showing me all that, I want to talk about the research done by Charles Darwin. We always associate Darwin with research on evolution, but Darwin actually did some early research that was somewhat non-scientific on emotions as well. As he was traveling around the world, gathering all of his samples that he was eventually using to develop a theory of evolution, he also met a lot of people, many of whom he couldn't communicate with because he didn't know their languages, and noticed that he was still able to communicate emotions because facial expression seemed to be highly universal. So when he got back, and while he was doing some of his work on evolution, he also took a great interest in the universality of facial expression and started to correspond with other researchers who were doing work on facial expression as well. I'm going to look at this first because I only see two things that I can interact with right now. So this seems to be a TV recording that all recordings captured by domestic service devices remain property of the manufacturer. So that's interesting that the Supreme Court has seen that. And I've got my report here. So this is what I said. Oh, look, and it's giving me feedback. Here's my reinforcement. +3 to company ranking, +3 to company ranking. This is in accordance with our expectations. +6 to company ranking, +3 to company ranking. And evaluation complete. We are happy to inform you that you've passed your evaluation. I am now part of the Kronos family of things. We are concerned by your report on Alex. We were not aware of such severe malfunctions. While we would have preferred to salvage it, the experimental nature of this unique device meant that the repairs would not have been effective and full decommission was the only solution. Please stand by for your next assignment. Oh, and I've reached my first Kronos rank review. This room is not only your workspace but also your charging pod and living space. Here you will have time to study the outcome of your cases, reflect on case feedback, and view your company rank. A higher rank will be rewarded with access to cutting-edge interrogation tools. Oh my gosh. Access to world news services, access to our elite office suites, granting a stunning view of downtown Silicon Valley. Cronus thanks you for your service. And I did a good job. I wonder what you have to do a great job. Do you have to fully decommission Alex to get a great job? Now, there doesn't appear to be anything else that I can interact with over here. Oh, I can hibernate. Okay, so I'm going to hibernate while I do that and talk about Darwin's work. So then what Darwin did was he started corresponding with other people who were researching universal human emotions, and they had these emotion expression cards. And some of the other researchers were proposing a fairly large number of emotional expressions or facial expressions that were universal. And Darwin didn't think that there were that many. And so he requested their cards and wanted to assess it for himself. Cloudcraft says, I really want to see that office suite just to know what we can find out about the world with that view. I agree that I really want to see that. So we have a warning here. When they hide in plain sight, how do you spot a deviant android? Deviants passing as humans have been known to use these tricks. Replace watermark organs, facial alterations, hollow spoofing equipment to fool internal scans, pseudo-digestion hack to allow eating and drinking, disguising charging port as a bed to emulate sleep and rest, false memories, usually only elicit one emotion, assuming a false name, and moving to a new neighborhood. Remember, we cannot scan or open up an individual without their consent. Doing so exposes Kronos to legal action. Service and decommission with care. Okay. And then I've got my diary here. Property of Shakira Barber. The cover says this is not a diary. This will either be a record of me building a better life out of scraps and hope, or they will find the next to my dead body. If you find this, my name was Shakira Barber. Oh wait, so this is the beginning of the diary, where we find that some citizens patrol Ascons nearly roughed me up today. They were looking for a fight. I didn't get hurt. My ID checked out, because of course it did, like I told them it would. The sooner I get out of this place, the better. I dreamt about the hotel again. Hallways twisting and turning. I know which door I need to find. I can always feel it right ahead of me. I don't know if I ever pressed everything in the jungle. Amy really came through. I still can't believe I got a spot at the SWD. I wonder what SWD is. I keep hearing the name Oscar. And the word cuts through the noise. This suggests that it's a word that she has experience with and rings in the ear. See, did I know the Oscar at some point? If you have experience in hearing a word, you're more likely to detect it on that threshold, or you're more likely to detect it even among noise. Back and forth to this underground office every time they need a different dock. Okay, I'm not reading all of this aloud, right? But I guess it might make people do good for the community, but also WTF. Social tracking to do. Register citizen services, hollow account and devices, DL citizen service app, get verified citizens status. And all of these things to do as a verified citizen. I shopped at the market today. All of this produce made me think back to the farm when I was a girl. Nothing's grown in that dust for years, but God, what would I give for some good food from the honest to God soil? Stuff from vertical farm is fine. It just tastes too clean. Dirt and food belong together. When did it get impossible to meet people? Colton is so tiny, so obviously everybody knows each other. I guess before I moved here, I expected a place with so many people would at least have a few I could get to know. I need to start managing my expectations better. How many pages does this have? Okay, this is the last set of pages. I started tango lessons. I felt like I had no choice when I saw the flyer. Felt it in my gut. I've always listened to that little voice. It's brought me here, for better or worse. The word was like glowing. If nothing else, it'll be good exercise. Neither figured out how I wound up working for a plastic surgeon of all things, and I'll always be thankful for this job, but he's such a jerk. Arrogant, patronizing, ugh. At least I figured out how to nudge him by massaging his ego. Okay. And that was all I could interact with, so now it's time to open my computer and do my job, I guess? She believes she's a missing domestic service unit, though she claims to be human. Welcome to Mist School of In-Game Lore. Yeah, there's a lot of in-game lore, but I think I have to read it to be able to do this. That's what that red thing suggested. Miss Barber believes Miss Barber to be a domestic service unit, though she claims to be a human. We suspect that she has all unauthorized modifications to her appearance and memories to allow her to escape capture. Familiarize herself with the subject's history and daily routine. Note any inconsistencies or suspicious behavior. A diary recovered from the subject's apartment may prove useful. The subject has been seen entering a building in District 4 on multiple occasions. The subject is employed at his plastic surgery clinic. Hold on just a sec, because we got Baby Bear and Papa Bear chatting over here. So we're gonna... Okay, so I can expand and shrink this over here, but this will allow me to see more of the emotions. So I want to know if they can experience maximum disgust, because humans can do that. Why did they go to that place? Do they have gaps in key memories? Are they multidimensional memories or one-dimensional? Has their physical appearance been altered? Anything else that I've discovered? So let's say hello. Let's try to establish some trust. Is this trust or distrust? I don't know. Let's do this one. You're welcome, I guess. You still haven't told me why I'm here, though. What kind of questions? Let's just be honest. Okay, but really. Oh, now we've got some fear and some surprise. And we've got the pupil dilation again. So while we're going through some of this, so what Charles Darwin did was he invited a bunch of people to... What? Due to your Chronos, we are trusting you with the use of our proprietary audio-visual manipulation toolkit. Uses light and sound to subliminally shift a subject's mood over time. Nice! Okay. Is there one of these emotions that I need to... Okay. Cool. So what he did was he took the cards that he got from other people and decided that he wanted to see how universal each of those emotions were, so he held a dinner party. And at that dinner party, he invited all his guests over, they had dinner, and then he went in a separate room and he was like, okay, friends, people, gather around. I'm going to bring you into this room one at a time. I'm going to show you some cards, and you're going to tell me what emotion the faces on the cards are experiencing. This is how he did his initial science, right? This is Darwin for you guys. This is science right here. And he did that. And then eventually people replicated this. It's not, we don't only go based on Darwin's bad science. And so what they did is he had them look at it, and these were the 6 emotions that came out. And as they replicated this over time and in cross cultures, these were the 6 emotions that seemed to replicate across time, across cultures, and also across age groups. You see these 6 basic emotions all the way down into infants, and in fact, you see these in infants even if they were born blind. So it isn't that we're learning these facial expressions by seeing other people use these facial expressions, but instead these facial expressions appear to be innate. Now, in an AI, obviously these facial expressions, which we're seeing down here, these facial expressions and these emotions would have to be programmed. But what I'm wondering now, and what I'm going to watch, I was watching the pupil before, what I'm going to watch now are the facial expressions here. So this could be all sorts of different things. And so now I'm going to give this person some information. The plastic surgery clinic, that they work at for a few weeks now. Well, working is maybe an overstatement, but the surgeon pays me to help out sometimes. It's better what I had before. And so now I'm going to talk about the social welfare department. And I did see a slight smile. It's really hard to see the facial expressions on this particular screen, right? State Department for humans who need some help. I go there because I'm a human who needs some help. disgust. So unless you're accusing the state of breaking their own laws, I should be free to go, right? I actually have an appointment there after this. Can we wrap this up soon? What's the name of your caseworker? I don't know how much luck you'll have getting in touch. Sadness. I've never seen employees so overworked. Her name's Amy. I've only met a few times so far. You should speak with her. She's able to clear up this whole mess. Okay. So let's talk about your job. How did you get it? Surprise. Just kind of fell into my lap. Yeah, see, I'm not seeing any changes. Let me know if you folks are seeing changes in facial expression over here, but I'm not seeing a lot of changes in facial expression. You think that was my opportunity to test maximum disgust? How would I test maximum disgust? Oh, because she was disgusted. If I was interested, frankly, I need a lucky break. I don't think I could have made it longer without a job. I could try testing disgust this way. Sight of people living on the streets. I mean, I always knew there were homeless people, but even before moving away. Seeing it in person, being there with them in the jungle, I guess it's just something I'll never come to terms with. So yeah, that's a good idea. So let's talk about the jungle. Just can't believe you think I'm a robot. It's just like in that old movie. What was it called? Blade Walker or something? So now I've created fear and surprise. I got that, thanks. And joy. Let's keep at it then. The sooner I prove you wrong, the sooner I get out of here. Where's the jungle? I should have gotten... You're right, that may have been my opportunity to test maximum disgust. Can I manipulate emotions? Joy, irritation, fear. Cancel. No. I can't. Say nothing. She's a good person. So now she's talking about Amy again. She's experiencing joy and surprise at the same time. Alright, so clearly if I take too long, she's going to... Let's go and talk about her consultation for plastic surgery. It was a free consult. I've just always hated that eyesore. I didn't plan on having the procedure that day. I just wanted some info. How'd you get the scar? I can't recall, but I grew up on a farm with heavy machinery. Alright, so gaps in key memories. We seem to have one. And we want to see if their memories are multidimensional or unidimensional. Their physical appearance has been altered. So answering my question is the fastest way. I don't remember if I told you about my parents. Anyway, one night my dad went after my mom. Now we're experiencing more fear. I don't know what set him off exactly. I got caught in the middle and... Well, I hope you get the picture. I realize that it gets really complicated with the game changing responses to some questions based off the emotional state of the other. It could actually get... It could do just that, which will be interesting. So, memory responses. So this says here... Are the subject's responses emotionally multidimensional or unidimensional, suggesting that they are artificial? These memory responses here are entirely unidimensional. Wait a minute. Wait a minute, what? Hypothetically speaking, if I was an android, that means someone chose to give me these memories. Someone forced me to live with memories of abusive parents? There's no way someone could be that cruel. So, we've got surprise and disgust now. It's possible you chose these memories, so that... Which one of these do I think is going to give her more disgust? That she chose the memories? Or that someone she knows gave them to her? So yeah, this is the opportunity to give her more disgust. Which of these do I think is going to be more disgust giving? Someone did this to you, I think. Let's see. I'm going to guess this one. Yes! I suppose it's not so surprising. I did get some more disgust. There's one thing I've learned is that people only look out for number 1. So I think we just got 70 plus 30 makes us 100. I think we are at maximum disgust. I wish I could see the current number of disgust, right? Like, that would be useful, but 70 plus 30 would make 100, and therefore should be maximum disgust. So let's talk about this memory. I want you to tell me more about your family, and even more disgust, if I have to. There's 3 of them. My parents and my sister. So now we've got disgust, anger, surprise, and fear, and sadness. They all decided to stay in that dust pole for some reason. So I know that they can experience maximal disgust. Yes. We know that they visited there because that's where their employer is. We want to see if they can experience... Right? Did we want to see if they could experience joy and sadness at the same time? No. Gaps in key memories, physical appearance been altered, or other critical information about the subject. So, do you miss your parents? Surprise. Okay. So I can make very interesting responses in them. What I want now is to see then when there are gaps. There's nothing for me anymore. Everyone who chose to stay there can starve. Even your sister? She should have come with me. No, she made her choice to stay. As far as I'm concerned, she is guilty as they are. I was always there for her. Someone should have been there to protect me. Was that difficult? Of course it was. I left everyone and everything I know behind. But then again, my parents made sure it was the only choice I have. So, now I want to see gaps. Still better than being in Colton. Let's get her back to neutral a little bit. Well, I was assembled in a factory. Oh no, my secret's out. Sorry, I get sarcastic when I'm nervous and people accuse me of non-existent bullcrap. Please, I'm sure you want to get this over with. I know of being held in a strange company's basement in an interrogation chamber. There I go again. Right, you want to know about me. I'm from a small town. I'm one of them, but then the dust storms came, the town basically dried up. I moved away as soon as I could, but well, new town, new me isn't as easy as it sounds. What is the jungle? A homeless village. Is there more homeless people? I'm really failing at neutralizing her behavior. Let's try to make her happy. Nope. Okay, hold on. Let's try to make her happy. Incoming message. Okay. Let's work on happiness while we talk about social contacts. And she doesn't have friends. Dr. Hughes has been kind enough to me, and I get along with the social worker. I like to walk around and see the city. Describe a typical day. This is just not working. She's getting a little bit of joy as she's going through. So yeah, this I actually think is I actually think is really accurate, right? As you try to figure out, how do I change this person's emotions? You need to let this one go. This case is bigger than you understand. Let Shakira go. See, now that person's trying to get me not to. You're trying to manipulate somebody's... Yeah, I feel like I'm just floundering around now and gonna stumble into something terrible too, right? Trying to manipulate somebody's emotions is a difficult thing to do. They appear to have gaps in memories. They don't know what happened. But getting them to no longer be disgusted and sad is actually quite challenging, right? So pretty much everything, once she got that disgusted and sad, pretty much everything was tinged with disgust and sadness. Yeah, I've confirmed one gap, but it only said one gap. And if I tell her I have your diary here, that's not going to be great. Yeah, there's just... like, I could make her even more upset. Oh, it says gaps plural? Does the subject have gaps in key memories? Oh, see, I read that as any gaps. So I can make her more disgusted and sad, but I'm not going to be able to make her joyous. So let's dive down this rabbit hole. Let's just be a jerk at this point. I'm gonna lie. I don't know. It could let me to release you. I can't say anything else. I haven't asked her basic timeline, sequence of events that would confirm if she got the scar as a child. Where is that? Just asking her about more about her family that she hates? That's the only place that I'm seeing that basic timeline, is more about the family that she hates. I was trying to avoid them. I'm talking to Cloudcraft about how do we... trying to manipulate somebody's emotions. Oh, no, yeah, I agree that if she got the scar as a child and had a bad upbringing, she could have forgotten how. Got the job to pay him back. All of that stuff's... I've already asked all of that. Oops. I can stop talking to her. She's just so angry with me. No amount of trying to make her happy is doing any good. I don't know why I took up Tango. So now can I say... No, I can't. Oh, see, there doesn't seem to be a whole lot more to ask. But she does have unidimensional emotions. Because she had... Although I guess... Right, she had an emotion that was pure fear. Here. Actually, that was her only unidimensional emotion. Because then this is joy and fear. Removing the joy entirely, but then we've got fear and surprise. And then we get into the complex emotions. We did get maximal disgust. So yeah, if you're saying gaps in key memories, the past events were multidimensional. A physical appearance was altered. I have not discovered any other key gaps. But then I've got the email saying, let this person go. I don't have any additional questions about Oscar. That's not really a gap in memory, no, as well. That's just a thing I know that... Like, I know personally that when you... I know personally that when you have that sort of thing happen, it may be because you have repeated exposure to something. Yeah, they did say they're on shaky legal ground and to tread carefully. So I think letting this person go. I think I'm done talking to this person. I think this is my report. There's no gaps. Their emotions are multidimensional. Their appearance has been altered. I have not discovered anything else that's critical. And we are going to let them go. I don't know what this email is all about, though. I would be completely non-suspicious. Oh, there we go. Did she say code phrase? Uh-oh. What just happened? Oh my gosh! um... Um... That should be a yes now. I can't do anything else. Whoops. Um, that was interesting. Yep, there we go, stumbling into our bad outcome. Yep, let's send this one to service now. It's completely memory wiped. Why not? Oh, Oscar Tango. That makes sense. Wait a minute. What was the H? What was the H? It was something Oscar Tango. I'm gonna have to go back in my video and find out what the H was. Yeah, it's possible that if you want a certain outcome, you can't go all in. I might need a different save now, to finish that out. So yeah, so that is the demo for. Oops, it closed out the game when I hit quit. That is the demo for Silicon Dreams, where we learn about some of those basic emotions and what we're looking for with regards to those basic emotions, and how we know about those basic emotions with the non-scientific science that we saw conducted with um, through Charles Darwin, and some of the things that we know about skin conductance and pupil dilation. And then you got to watch me stumble into a terrible outcome. And I'm going to play again so I can figure out what that terrible outcome was. And if I select something different there um, instead of what I did, if something else happens as I get that terrible outcome and see what's going on there. So as always, and I encourage you too to download the demo of Silicon Dreams and mess around with it and see if you can get a better outcome or do less stumbling than I did. And you can let me know in the comments how that went for you, and or get the full game and see what happens after you manage to memory wipe Shakira, who is most definitely an android. At least we know that now when we metagame it. Um, and so yeah, oh, plausible deniability if we don't go all in on the questioning and then keep them, or and then let them go anyway. Yeah, that's a good point too. Again, I want to go in and experiment with that now and see all of the things that happen. And that's really a mark of a good game, right? Where my curiosity is piqued, and not only do I want to play through this game once and see just the path that I would take the first time around, the thing I just did, but then I want to play through it again, and I want to see there. Fortunately, there were 3 save slots, so I want to see all of the different things that might happen when I mess around with the different options that this game has. And that curiosity that it's gotten me there, and it really has me wanting to know more about what could happen within the story. I really like games that do that and have me curious, feeling curious in that way. So I'm going to explore more about this game, probably off of the channel so you don't have to watch me stumble. But I encourage you to do the same, because I really think that this demo is really intriguing, and therefore I expect that the game will be as well. And I agree that they probably don't expect us to delve into every detail, but I want to anyway, because I think it is fun, and I would like to see what happens next. And so it's Hotel. It was Hotel Oscar Tango is what it was. Hotel Oscar Tango is how you got hot. And so, as always, if you want to see more, I will have a link to other relevant videos for you guys, or you can subscribe. You know the drill. And I will catch you next time.